Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel where I give advice to people about gang stalking and how to defeat it and how to overcome it and live your life and thrive regardless of what is happening in your environment. So in this video I want to cover a little topic that might help you, in case you are still in the early phases of gang stalking and you don't know how to deal with it. If you check out my video on ego strength, which I recently posted, it will give you an idea on how to strengthen your ego and deal through the phases of gang stalking, and eventually, hopefully you should reach the calm state, the nirvana, let's say, borrowing from the Buddhist concept. You know, that you ignore gang stalking. And of course, this channel is all about solving gang stalking through ignoring it, ignoring the cheap tricks, ignoring all the street theater and all the things that are happening. And not to be bothered by it. And then, of course, all of that seems as though it doesn't exist. Now, of course, I am not suggesting that you ignore the problem. I'm telling you to fix the problem by ignoring all the nonsense. Because in the end, your energy on a daily basis needs to be directed into the right places. And this is all that it is. It is a filter that you are using to manage your time and manage your energy and your focus. So, if you're still in the early stages of gang stalking and you want to deal with it, one of the solutions, one of the tricks that you can pull off is, say for example, you pass by someone, and commonly what will happen is someone will mimic you. What do I mean by that? They might start touching their nose, scratching it in a very overt fashion. Of course, you would have been sensitized to this over time because it hasn't happened to you many times over and over. So you know that it is most likely related to gang stalking. Someone touches their crotch when you pass by, or does some weird gesture, when they see you, or they start pulling off their phone, or they do private conversations about you, which you know have something to do with you, because of course it has happened to you many times. What do you do? Well, one of the things you can do just to feel some kind of power that you can deal with this is, of course, you don't have to be passive if you don't want to. If you want to feel like you have some kind of power, then one of the things you can do is you can mimic them back. Many times I've seen people doing private conversations about me. Instead of just challenging them outright, I would, I would just wave at them and laugh. I would mimic whatever they did. Say they made a gesture like scratch the nose, I would scratch my nose as well. If they were scratching their ear, I would do the same thing. They touched their crotch, I do the same thing. They touch their hands and rub their hands, I do that as well. Whatever gesture they do in my way, I'll mimic that to them. Now, in most cases, nothing will happen, but the person who did whatever they did to you will know that you're aware of what they're doing and that you're mimicking back to them. And that's one way that you can, it's an easy, fun way of sort of getting back at them in a way. Another thing you can do, and it's something that you can consider, is say someone is doing a private conversation and they say something, or you see them doing some gang stalking thing, whether it's a hand signal, hand gesture, or street theater even, doesn't matter, is you talk to them, but without talking directly to them, if you don't want to go into like a over challenging mode, and you just pull off your phone and you talk to them. So you talk to some imaginary person on the phone and you say whatever you want to say to them. For example, yes, he's wearing red and he's doing all the gang stalking gesture right now. I can see him, he's right in front of me. Something to that effect. Or, fuck off, leave me alone. What's your problem? Trust me, man, all this ridiculous hand signals that you're doing, it's not getting to me. You can just fuck off if you want to. So you can say different things, but on the outside, it will just look like you're having a regular conversation with someone on the phone. So even they can't say anything to you, like you didn't say anything to them, right? Technically. But they get the message. They know that you're talking to them because they're gang stalking you and they're doing all these weird gestures and private conversations. So you can answer them directly on their private conversations just to let them know, like, I know what you're doing and I'm not going to sit here and be silent. So I'm like answering you and getting back to you. I mean, that's something you can try out for some time, but anyway, these are just little tips to keep in mind. Another thing is, do remember in all of this is you want to move up through this whole gang stalking experience and come out as someone who is empowered with strong ego, who can simply ignore all these things and doesn't have to worry so much about what these people are doing or not doing. So the goal is essentially to forget gang stalking. Yeah, it's happening. These clowns are doing whatever they're doing. They're doing all their cheap tricks in the gang stalking in the street theater. But it's gotten old to this point where I feel strengthened and I can just ignore it like it's not happening, you know, and move on with my life. I'm living my life, so I'm not losing anything, right? I have my friends, I have my family. If you have a girl in your life, you have a boyfriend in your life, husband, wife, job, who cares what these clowns are doing, right? As long as it's not disturbing you, as long as you're not losing time and energy throughout your day obsessing over it over and over again, and it's making you, it's really messing with your head, then you should be fine, right? And that is essentially the goal of all of this, is to forget gang stalking, ignore it, like it's not happening. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video, and you know, use these tips if you're still in the early stages and you want to find a way to cope. You want to find a way like you can, because I completely understand where you might be coming from as a targeted individual. I don't really particularly like that phrase, but it's very useful and pragmatic to, I guess, describe what is happening. You know, I understand. You feel like people are doing things to you and you want to have a way of fighting back, a way of dealing with it. You can't go to the authorities, you can't go to the police, you cannot do anything legally, you cannot silence these people or stop them. So what do? Well, you can do these things in the beginning just to kind of deal with it. It's a way of coping, of dealing. And then eventually you'll get to a stage where you are beyond it and you can say that you have actually defeated gang stalking, because it's all psychological. It's not physical, right? It doesn't encroach on your life in any way. So that's it. You defeat it and you overcome it and you're fine. So anyway, I hope you find this useful, and I'll, you know, stay tuned for more useful videos. And I hope you're enjoying these tips. And if anyone is using these tips and they have worked for them and they have found them to be useful and effective in dealing with the trauma, which is of gang stalking, which is pretty traumatic experience, to be honest, if you, because there's not much out there to inform you as an individual on how to deal with it, then I can completely understand. So I hope this is all useful to you guys, and I'll see you in the next videos. Take care.